Haven't I too? It's been a while since I've been on here, but wanted to make this video. I think is very important for me to touch on because I'm still getting a lot of very disrespectful comments on one of my most popular videos on iTunes, which is, or not so popular, which is the why you should not move to Africa video. Because a lot of people don't understand what I mean when I say what I say in that video. But this video is specifically for anyone any person who is a parent or wanting to become a parent, wanting to reposition yourself onto the continent and become a parent, or further or bring more life while on the continent. So to get right into it, the so-called African government is not for people who want to do things in a humane way. They are literally killing people, whether it's through forcing this thing on somebody, submitting to the world agenda with this popular thing, this deadly thing. But they're hospitals. When it comes to the indigenous native ways of birthing children, and when it comes to the indigenous ways of birthing and rearing children and bringing forth children, our traditional practices of so-called midwifery and being a so-called doula and all of this stuff, what is happening is they're literally taking traditional midwives and bringing them into their facilities to teach and train their medical professionals, while at the same time indoctrinating them into giving up their traditional ways, our traditional ways. Now, the danger in this is now none of us want to give birth in our villages. None of us want to give birth away from the hospital. None of us want to give birth away from the city. None of us want to give birth in how we normally do it. And how is this dangerous? And how is that inhumane? It's not natural for lights to touch a baby in a hospital. It's not natural. Hospitals aren't natural anyway. Hospitals are not a place for life to come in. These medical professionals get their knowledge off of traditional native wisdom and not and intelligence. And when you don't submit to those modern medical ways, you risk the life of your child. You risk the life of every child you will ever have in your life. So pretty much my point that I'm trying to make is be mindful and be careful. We should all be mindful and careful when having our children, even in so-called Africa. Africa has become a place that is very unsafe for the people that really belong to the land here. It's an unsafe place, in the sense that Africa is and has been submitting to the world and the death and the destruction. And if you want any type of true prosperity and you want your children to be born out of sin, we don't have to bow to the ways of the modern times, because there is no more time for that, literally. If you want to go about things in a more responsible, practical way, so you can get things in place so that you can maneuver and regain your sovereignty, then that's another story, and we can chat about that another time. But generally speaking, the government of Africa every government in Africa, of every African country, they are not for the people. For example, this is my last point. Look at a place like so-called Ghana. Ghana has it now that they are, whether you are a resident or a citizen or you're just going there to travel, you have to have the thing. You have to have had proper medication. It's a force, and if you don't have it, you will get it on arrival. Every other country will follow behind it because they are following behind the so-called oppressor or so-called higher class people, being good puppets and good slaves. It's the same thing with the modern medical system. They will try to force circumcision. They will try to force different vaccines or injections, lethal injections on your child, you and your child, which is very symbolic. But anyway, I feel like I'm rambling now. I'll probably do a continuation to this video as well. So yeah, long story short, we have to just be mindful. The world is not Africa as we know it, as everyone has known it, is a very Babylonian place. When the place that where we all started and where we all began giving birth in the bush ourselves is getting further and further and further away from that, where a person who 100, maybe even a person whose grandmother was born in the bush or whose mother was born in the bush is now saying, no, go to the hospital. You know? Okay, so anyways, I will be doing more videos and touching on more things, hopefully. So, guide I, Ahava.